welcome to the chat. I am Kerri with Science Gal Aquatics, and I just want to welcome you to the stream. I am so glad to have you here with us. And I have, go ahead, Jesse.
Jesse's here as always with Kerri at Science Gal Aquatics. We're doing our Sunday stream on the Aquashella channel live here from Chicago. And we have a super great guy here, Greg Whitstock, the pond guy.
Yes, thank you for chatting with us.
Hey, I'm glad.
So excited.
Very fun, and we just did this about a couple hours ago with Ed, the pond professor.
Yes, I was in the back listening.
Yeah, just having fun. That's my longest teammate at 28 years, and this is my 30th year doing this, and this is my third Aquashella, and it's always a fun time.
Yes, I think I've lost count. I think this is my fourth one now.
Okay.
And I was just telling you some of my best memories of Aquashella you have been involved in.
That's
so
cool.
Thank you so much
for
just involving me in this.
I think maybe Aqualand might have a little something to do with that,
huh? A little bit. Yeah. It's still like, I've been there twice now, and there's always something cool to look at that you haven't seen.
Well, I mean, I was able to take my hobby and turn it into my profession.
Yes.
So, it's a workplace utopia. My goal with creating Aqualand is a place that people would want to come to.
Yes, and I am so ready to upgrade my pond as soon as I get home.
Always.
Yes.
A water feature is never done. The average consumer buys 3 water features: big, bigger, biggest, good, better, best.
Yes, and I believe that, and I will be one of them that do that.
So what do you want to talk about today?
Did you want to talk about just some of the things that you've liked the most so far at Aquashella, some of your best moments?
Well, my best moments at Aquashella was adding to my collection of animals. So I have never owned a flower horn.
Really? Wow.
And, I'm a koi guy, and I have lots of koi, but there's a really cool Indonesian flower horn, an orange variety, and it kind of reminded me of a koi, and I thought that would look perfect at Aqualand when you greeted in. So I bought, and it ended up being the People's Choice winner.
Oh, wow,
which was pretty cool. So I bought that from the guy who raised it from 6 months old. So for a year and a half, it's lived in his living room. So I said, you can visit him anytime at Aqualand, I understand, but I just thought it was super cool, so I got a flower horn. And then Aquarium Adventures here has those mud skippers. And so I'm like,
seen those.
I've never owned mud skippers either because they're from Africa. They're not the easiest one to find. So I'm going to build a custom tank at Aqualand for the mud skippers and feed them crickets and have fun with them. So I got 10 mud skippers and a flower horn. So my favorite experience about Aquashella was getting the animals, and then of course seeing all my friends and people that I reconnect with every year at this thing.
Yes, that was.
And now you got 2 new projects.
Yes, 2 new projects for our retail store at St. Charles, Illinois, and anybody is welcome to come by Aqualand and see all the things, because just like a pond, it's never done. We're always adding to it.
I highly recommend it.
And he has an awesome team to talk to.
Yes.
Well, I guess that's kind of my secret sauce is I've got 130 or so teammates. And, starting with Ed Ballou, the pond professor, who's been with me for 28 years. He's kind of like my big brother, kind of grew up in this industry together. And then my little brother's been with me 26 years, is like Brian Helfrich, and he's in charge of the Team Aquascape YouTube channel. So I got Ed, the pond professor, on the science side. I got Brian Helfrich on the Team Aquascape side, the construction side. And we've been doing this together, for over a quarter century together.
Wow.
Awesome. That is outstanding. And for future Aquashellas, are you going to keep coming and make bigger and bigger? So
this display, which is just awesome when you walk in, kind of like really sets the mood with all the neon and the smokes and the bubbles. And in fact, I'm like, how do I buy this bubble machine? I want a bubble machine for Aqualand. We're going to ship our booth from here, and we're going to ship it to Dallas.
Awesome.
And then I'm going to Dallas, probably with Ed, but I'm definitely going to Dallas to just walk the show and meet people.
Yes, I'm excited for Dallas already.
And it's right around the corner.
Yeah, it'll be Halloween, so I'll make sure I'll have some kind of a costume or something.
Jesse, what's your favorite moment so far?
My favorite part so far? I'm kind of attached to the axolotls.
Yeah, those were pretty fun.
I've walked around that tank probably 6 times at least just today.
Yeah. I will have to say also a highlight was I haven't ever tried aquascaping before, and I
Really?
entered the aquascaping contest, and I came in fourth. And
Yeah, that's
I'm
pretty
so
good.
Excited.
Yeah, so they just asked me to do an to assist Brett Raymer aquascaping attack, and I'm like, oh, all right, I'll assist them. And then they're like, yeah, you're going against Tanner Serpa. I'm like, what?
I know.
It's like, oh, thanks a lot, you know.
I'm
so
glad.
I need to bring up my self-esteem a little bit. So we're gonna have to have a waterfall building contest here or
Yeah.
something next year.
I was going to say, because that's a change of pace for you from going from outside
Yeah.
to, all right, let's put him in
listen,
a box.
I love tanks, and I mess around with my little tanks, but I mean, I am the pond guy, so it's waterfalls, turtles, fish, and frogs outside.
Yeah.
But you know, we built a pond for Tanner, and then he ended up. He built one as a hobbyist. We built one professionally for him, and then he built another one as a experienced hobbyist for his mom. And I think we're going to go back and upgrade his mom's pond maybe next year.
Oh wow, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
That'll be exciting.
Yeah, that would be the one thing. Is there a pro tip for people that are
Yes.
experienced hobbyists besides get a hold
I
of
would
you?
say two things. Let's just go two things. There's, of course, 1,000 things to learn, and this is
Yeah.
why we have all of our educational channels. But I just had a really good friend whose son got a summer job. He's 19-year-old kid, works for me in the retail store, and he wanted to build his own. He wanted to build his mom a pondless waterfall in their backyard. I'm like, dude, watch the videos, do it. And I went out there when he was laying it out, and I took the waterfall and I went half as high. And I go, don't build it any higher than this. And it was still a little bit high. You put it together. I'm like, yeah, the way you put the rocks in, I moved it down 6 inches. Everybody says they want a big high waterfall in a flat backyard. Unless you're going to bring in a lot of soil to make the slope over angle look right, it usually ends up looking like a volcano spewing lava. Versus the way a waterfall forms in nature is it erodes away the soil and exposes the stone. And so you don't, unless you're going to build unless you have a natural slope that you can dig into, you want to dig into the soil and not build up and stack up rock. And most people make a high waterfalls with stacked up rock with a pipe sticking out the top, and it looks more like a volcano spewing lava than a natural waterfall. So I put his waterfall maybe at 12 inches high. Had a nice little 2 drops coming down into the stream, going into the little basin that we put in there. And so what ended up happening was I said, listen, let me just rebuild this for you since I can do it. I brought one of my young guys, Jack, who's also 19 or maybe 20, and we went and we did it. And I said, how long do you think it'll take us, Jack? He goes, an hour and a half, and they were just their mouths dropped. And I think it took us an hour and 40 minutes, or 3 hours and 20 minutes to rebuild this. And now it's her favorite place. They're a family friend of ours. She says, I have my coffee back here. I spend so much more time in my backyard next to my water feature because of the sound and the birds and the nature and the relaxingness that it has. And I love, almost all of my friends have water features. In fact, the funny story was when my son was like 6 or 7 years old, he's 21 now. But when he was 6 or 7, he was with my wife at one of our friends' house, and he goes, Mommy? And she goes, yeah, what's up, Ryan? She goes, where's their pond? He had never seen a yard without a pond, and that's because people know me, and I get excited, and my passion sells this because it's really, I want everyone to experience what living the aquascape lifestyle is about with living with a water feature because it's addictive.
Yes,
it is very addictive.
It is.
We have one, and I'm going to have to build another.
Always, it's a never-ending hobby. But it's therapeutic. Like I always say to people, if you want to save money, hire a professional, have it done right the first time. But if you want to enjoy the hobby, go out there and tinker with it and learn as you go along, just like with anything, with escaping a tank. You would get better with time. I mean, look at a guy like Tanner. He's a professional at it. He can do it in a fraction amount of time it would take you. So from a time standpoint, hire someone done, which is why we have a certified Aquascape contractor network all over the world. Now we got a lot of customers in Australia and England. I got offices up in Toronto, Canada that handle it. But my main goal after 30 years of doing this is really to promote the hobby. So we do a lot of collaborations with other YouTubers. I was just on the Instagram DM this morning with Britney Spears' boyfriend, Sam, because she says she wants a pond. A koi pond because she's got her house, and I guess it's the Free Britney thing worked because I think she's in charge of her own money now.
I hope so.
But I want to just expose more people to what this wonderful hobby is all about. And that's exactly why we do shows like this. Shows like this didn't exist when I was growing up. And I see so many young kids here, I get excited for the hobby because they're watching YouTubers.
Yes.
And they're getting excited about doing this themselves. And this is something that is away from screen time. It's something that they can do at home with, and learn it and not be sitting on a computer in front of digital universe.
Yes, it's one of the few times my son comes out of his gaming room is to feed the fish. He'll go to the backyard occasionally and get away from the computer and feed the fish.
Yeah.
He gets really excited about it. He does.
And
that's good.
That's
time
a
in
great
nature.
point.
Yeah.
That's a great point, Greg. Whether they're wanting to do it outside like you and jump into it and look at all the videos and everything that's out there, or if they want to go the Tanner way and take the, as we always say, the little glass box and just start playing around.
And like Tanner and like myself, we started off as hobbyists.
Yes.
Right? And then, of course, it just evolved. And I'm sure the same story with you.
Yep. Yes.
And now it's our career, and we need more people. We need more young people. In fact, if you were to say to me, what's the biggest challenge with my business, besides keeping inventory in stock with everybody buying it and all the crazy disruptions going on right now, it's people that want careers working with their hands. People that want, it's hard work, but it's rewarding work.
Yes.
Every time we plug in a waterfall and give birth to a new waterfalls, we take a lot of pride in that.
A whole new scape that comes to life.
And so many people work at jobs in factories or jobs that they don't get to see the end result of their thing necessarily, but I get to, when you build a pond in someone's backyard, you get to see the end result, and then they become your friends.
Yes.
They come on over anytime for a drink, just stop by. I'm like, okay, I don't mind if I will, with my vlog camera, just showcase how you're living the Aquascape lifestyle. And there's not many careers that you can get that level of satisfaction from. But we need more people to get into the hobby, which is my goal and the profession. So that's why we do Aquascape University online. We have many free courses on there. Then there's paid courses for professionals that go farther. We have the Aquascape Hands-On Academy where people come to Chicago and we build ponds with us and we teach them how to do it. But, I like to say Aquascape is a franchise system without a franchise fee where we teach you how to be successful in this, and then hopefully you end up buying our products, because we'll help you with growing your business.
Yeah, it's true. Plus you just take so much more, like you said, you take more pride in what you put your blood, sweat, and tears in. Yeah. You do. And I don't know, it makes it more special. It just makes it more special.
Well, and I think the purpose of life is to have a purpose.
Yeah.
And I think people are starting to reevaluate that with like COVID times. So many people are working from home and so many people are looking at their work-life balance. And especially if you're working at home, you need an escape.
Yeah.
Instead of having to go to a national park, go into your backyard and sit next to your pump, pop up your laptop and get some work done.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I get discouraged because I want everybody to have a purpose, and I just found my purpose with turning my hobby into my profession with water features. And the greatest satisfaction in life, they say, is helping someone else reach their fullest potential.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's so enjoyable for me to visit certified Aquascape contractors who thank me for buying my products because they found their purpose again. Maybe they were landscapers and kind of got burned out competing with every Tom, Dick, and Harry on cutting lawns. Or maybe they had a different profession and at 40 years old had a midlife crisis and said, I love my pond, I want to build these for other people.
Yeah.
But for me to be able to help other people and encourage them to follow their passions and start a career like I do around building decorative water features, that's the thing that really gets me excited.
Well, and it would me too, as you was talking about just regular landscaping. There's no way I could just cut grass every day. But with you building these water features, every one of them is a little bit different and has its own unique twist.
So that's kind of what made Aquascape successful was we systematized a 20 product and 20 step methodology behind building water features. And so when I started my business in 1991, there wasn't a single manufacturer of professional water feature products anywhere in the U.S.
Wow.
So I just was as a hobbyist and building it for other people, and to be able to train and teach Ed and Brian and other people how to do it, and eventually my customers that we sell to, I had to systematize my methodology. So just like if you were to put a brick patio in or trim bushes or fertilize plants, you have a set methodology to do it. We now have a set methodology, and then the thing that people aren't aware of, when you have a set methodology of building something, instead of spending your time on what kind of filters do I use, what kind of pumps do I use, you do it by the size, and then you spend all your time on the creative aspects,
yes,
which is the fun aspects. I mean, nobody really wants to dig a hole but the hole's a means to an end. But if you know and you've done it a 1,000 times before, I can build any pond anywhere. It's just, if it's a bigger pond, it's a bigger hole, bigger filters, bigger pumps, more liner than a smaller one, but the same methodology is applied to a small pond versus a big pond. And then when you do that, you can systematize your construction. You can bid the projects correctly, you can estimate them, and you can build them correctly because you've done it before.
Yep.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. It's just so much taking it in. It's like, wow, that's just so much.
30 years.
Yeah.
Taking something in for 30 years is a
I'm
lot.
I'm just thankful that I started being involved in this community, and I found the fish tube community.
Yep.
And I found people with similar interests, because I didn't know before I started the fish tube that there is people out there that liked. I stayed in my own little fish room in my own little world, and I'm just so thankful that I've gotten to get to know everybody.
Right.
And I feel comfortable enough to be like, hey, I have a question, and kind of talk it out, and we'll get a game plan, because we will be upgrading.
Always. Well, maybe we can help you with that.
Oh, I'd appreciate it.
You know a pond
guy.
guy.
Yeah, at least like a starting point, like maybe go this direction over this direction.
You know Lucas Brandt, right?
Uh-huh.
So he started that way. He just started putting a little pond in. I hooked him up with a local certified contractor in Indianapolis. But I just saw him at the booth, on Saturday when the show started, and he was showing me the pictures. Oh my gosh, his whole yard.
Yeah.
Like the guy is obsessed.
He went nuts. Yeah, he was showing me the videos, and I was like, he's like, I started right here, and I was just going to keep it right here with the little downslope waterfall. It was just going to be very, very simple. He said, and now I think I'm on my third or fourth semi-load of rock coming in.
He's a serious hobbyist, and he's got a beautiful yard because he's got all those slopes in it.
Yeah.
So
really
Illinois,
nice.
where we do most of our work, is the second flattest state. So whenever we get a slope, we're like getting excited. By the way, just for the viewers here, or you guys, what do you think the first flattest state is?
Oklahoma, maybe.
A lot of people guess
I was going to go Kansas.
Kansas, maybe.
Nope, that's most of the people guess. It's Florida.
Really?
So
Wow.
Florida is the flattest state. We do a number of water features down there. We've done it with a lot of influencers down there. In fact, Blake's Exotic Animal Ranch is at our booth right now.
Yeah.
Camp Kennan Harkin.
It's probably because it's all right at sea level.
I think it's like the whole state is flat. So it's the second. So we have the disadvantage in Illinois of working in a flat state, which is another reason you don't build a high waterfall. But if you've got a natural slope, if you live in an area with a slope, it just screams you got to have a waterfall on it.
Yeah. Our backyard's kind of flat, but it's got a little divot.
And then you bring in soil, right?
Yeah,
so you bring in
we'll
soil
make
and
it
you
work.
carve out that soil to build your waterfalls.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm already thinking of a game plan.
Good.
We'll
We'll help you with that.
Yeah.
And that's fun for me, right? Help people succeed. So
If we already have a pre-established pond, would you just build a complete new one, or
probably.
would you connect it?
So it depends.
It
but,
depends.
Is it a liner pond or?
It's a liner.
Yep. So liner to us is very inexpensive. I mean, it's expensive for a hobbyist, but when you're a professional pond builder and you go through millions of square feet, I would design it. I would want it to all flow together.
Yeah.
So I don't know, is it 2 feet deep, 3 feet deep?
It's probably 2.5 at
That's
the
good.
deepest.
That's good. That's the size we would do it at, and you can seam two liners together, and it's possible. I haven't seen the project, but mostly we just start from scratch.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like right now, 2 weeks ago was the last time I built a pond, and it was for the Jim and Sharon Celebron, who the first pond I built for them, the pond I built for them, I was 21. It was 1991. And I put a little classified ad in a newspaper. Newspapers are things that people used to read with like writing.
You mean that
I kind of remember getting the one at the doorstep.
So it was an $80 classified ad, and it was a second feature I sold. I sold a little waterfall into an existing pond, and they wanted a backyard pond, and I sold them a pond, and last winter, Jim called me up. And he said, Greg, I was thinking that instead of me doing my clean out like I always do in the spring to start it off, why don't you guys just clean it out, but why don't you give me a facelift? And I'm like, oh my gosh. So for 30 years, he had the same original pond that we put in 1991. And we were so busy. We were sold out at the end of last year, almost this entire year. And I'm like, Jim, I'll figure out a way to get you in. So Ed, the pond professor, and I 2 weeks ago went out there and we put a new liner in, the same original liner from 30 years ago. We made the waterfalls a little deeper and bigger, and he's just tickled pink with it. And then, of course, we featured it on my Team Aquascape channels for the construction of it.
Yeah.
But for 30 years, he's lived in the house for 40 years, and for 30 years he's had this pond. And he goes, the thing I'm going to miss most is the sound, because I know your sound's going to be different, and I'm so used to sitting in my backyard listening to that sound. And now he's got a nicer waterfalls, I think, an updated waterfalls, and a nicer pond. We made it a little bit bigger and a little bit deeper, but he lived with it and enjoyed it for 30 years.
Yeah.
You changed the whole musical outside for him.
You do. Yeah. And every waterfall has a different pitch, a different sound, how you put the rocks, echo chambers that you do, if rocks hitting the other rocks versus hitting the water, the different splash zones. And we ourselves, and the nice thing is we use expandable foam. So if we don't like the way it looks or sounds when we're done, no problem, unplug it, redo it, and 30 minutes later, it takes for the foam to dry, you can have a whole different looking waterfall just by flipping the rock. And that's what we like to say. Every water feature is a unique work of art, one-of-a-kind custom creation.
Yes.
But the process to build it remains the same. And the reason it's such unique is every setting is different, every stone is different. And so even though you use the same types of stone, really, if you twist a stone this way versus that way, it's a different sound or a different look.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's that way in aquascaping in the cube again.
Yep, exactly.
Well, even like the rocks have personality. Like everything about the ponds are like something special. The rocks are special. The water sounds special. The sounds of the frogs are nice. It's just everything about it is relaxing. And there's nothing better than looking out your window from your just wherever it is in your house, and you're just like, I'm going to go out there and sit down now.
Amen, sister. So that's the funny thing is what Brian, my head designer, the younger guy, always says to me is he goes, I let the rocks speak to me. So we don't do drawings for our work. We use a can of spray paint and a garden hose, and we lay out, that's exactly where the pond's going, and it's and then we let the stones that we get kind of speak to us. How do you draw waterfalls? You really can't. And so everyone asks, can you do a drawing? We're like, yeah, but it won't look anything like the end job. And we love when a customer, we get a budget, let's work on a budget, but they give us creative freedom. Because a lot of times people think with a pond, we want it in the back corner of the property where the water always drains to. No. You want it up close and personal so you can see it. Even outdoor loving people spend most of their time inside. So you want to see it from the kitchen table, from the sink, from the living room.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So we're like, the deck, right up next to it, cantilever a deck over it so you're interacting with it, So kind of the first rule that we kind of tell other pond builders is don't give a customer what they ask for. Give them what they want, which is a beautiful interactive water feature close to the house with not a high waterfall, but a natural waterfall. And these are the little tips and tricks. I was talking about not building a high waterfalls, and then the other one would be putting it up close and personal to the house. So you can interact with it off a deck or a patio and then see it from inside the house.
Exactly. Well, just make it feel part of...
Incorporate it. It's an outdoor living room. Draws you outside.
Jesse sometimes yells at me for trying to open up the windows in wintertime because I just want to listen to the pond and the heat's on. He's like, shut the windows.
That's funny that you say that because Blake from Blake's Exotic Animal Ranch is up here. It's August in Chicago, and he goes, this is what people do up here because the windows were open.
Yeah.
Because it was like 80 outside. And he's like, I've never had my windows open in the month of August ever in Florida.
Yeah. I will have the windows open just to hear when I can.
That's what I fell asleep to last night. I had the windows open. It was probably 68 degrees, and I listened to the waterfalls.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the great thing about ponds. The sky's the limit. Besides just the rocks, the plants, just
it's a whole world.
Depending on the depth and the biology,
and also the season.
Yes.
So if the pond's big enough, or you want to keep it filled up, you can run it in year round.
Yes.
And the waterfall comes, and then the wildlife come in the wintertime because they need open sources of water.
Yep.
So squirrels and birds, all sorts of birds, and they always come around. Sounds like they're giving away more awards over there.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys can hear us. We can't hear what's going on, but there's
party.
a big raffle going on. There's sharks dancing, and it looks like they're done. So.
They were the last and final drawing. Maybe they were auctioning off the fellas in the sharks.
I'm the last guy with you.
Yes.
Feel kind of special.
It's kind of sad that it's almost over. But
we'll see each other in October, Halloween in Dallas, which will be fun.
Yes, I'm already counting the days.
Yeah, she's already planned. We are there, without a doubt.
Well, what were we talking about before I got distracted?
Well, we were just talking about how a water feature changes in the season.
Yes,
so it's something that's enjoyable. So one of the things that we do, one of the trends that we have is recreation ponds, which is basically the biggest pond you can get, and it's interactive, so you can actually wade into it or swim into it if you want to. But unlike a swimming pool that is one function, which is swimming, a recreation pond is enjoyable 365, even in the winter months, especially in cold climates like this that you can't swim, where you can see the waterfalls going. On a rec pond, you can keep them going year round. The fish, the nature, and so why wouldn't you have a inorganic swimming pool in a area you can only use 3 or 4 months out of the year, when you can have an organic, natural, biologically based, non-chemically based swim pond, or recreation pond is what we call them.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic.
And we convert a lot of swimming pools that people used to use when the kids were little into recreation ponds. In fact, this winter, we're going to build a otter pond for Blake's Exotic Animal Ranch, and then Sam, who's the #1 Aldabra tortoise breeder in the U.S., we're going to convert his unused swimming pool into a recreation pond, and that's part of the training to become a certified Aquascape contractor, like we do through the Aquascape University and the Aquascape Academy. So if you're watching and you're looking for a potential career in this, check out Aquascape Academy, the Aquascape Academy, and aquascapeuniversity.com.
Well, I will check that out after this stream's over.
Yeah, it's fun. And you know what? And even if you don't become a professional, you learn.
Yes.
You can listen to Ed talk about ecology. You can, you know, listen to me talk about design, or Brian talk about design, you know, things like that, as a serious hobbies, which is why I think we have a dozen free classes on there for people like yourself that are hobbyists or serious hobbies that want to learn more. And if you're a professional, you got 80 classes.
Yeah, I won't turn down anything that I can learn from. Like, it's always, like, I can utilize it for something, I'm sure, down the line.
Aquascapeuniversity.com.
Yes, that's exciting.
And I have checked that out before.
Cool. So when you're not climbing trees, you're going to be building ponds. Start building it. And that's how it starts, by the way. So when I built a pond, the reason I started my business was people started looking at my pond, and they said, can you do this for me? I'm like, well, yes, I could.
Yeah.
And then the first sale was to somebody that had a little pond already, and I just added a waterfall to it. And the second sale was a guy that the classified average Jim Celebron. And then the 3 sales, I built 5 ponds my first summer, 3 months off. And that the rest of the 3 sales came from people that saw those first 2. So how people get into this hobby is they see it.
Yes.
You know, and so that's why one of the reasons I YouTube it, because I can go out and I can showcase. I travel the world, which is super fun. Used to go to Australia when I can get down there, and England, and visit people's backyards and just showcase how they enjoy their ponds. And then, of course, hopefully inspiring more people to get ponds as well.
Yes.
But ponds, I like to say, are sold, they're not bought. People have to see them, and then they're ready to buy. It's not like they're used to going to Target and seeing a pond on the shelf.
Yeah, because when you walk up to see a pond you haven't seen for the first time, you fall in love with it. Yeah. And you're just like, I never knew I wanted that until I'm standing, and you're just like awestruck over how beautiful
it's not something a lot of people think about. They think about hardscapes, decks and patios and gazebos. They think about softscapes or the landscaping, but waterscapes is an element that needs hardscapes and softscaping to be complete. And to me, a yard isn't complete without a waterscape.
Yeah, I believe it.
And then once you have one, as he's already talked about, then you're going to want either a revamp or another one.
Like I said, the average consumer gets 3: big, bigger, best, big, bigger, biggest, good, better, best.
Absolutely.
Well, I have another question that's, I'm curious about turtles and keeping. I've never kept a turtle in the pond before. So, and I know that you love turtles. How do you take care of turtles in a pond that's out? It's outside of my backyard.
So it's very simple. If you want to keep turtles, fence your yard.
Well, we do have a fenced yard. There you go. Okay, well, perfect.
So turtles will wander. That's how they spread their DNA. Yes. So my house that I just ended up selling, we downsized, put a pond in for my neighbor. Once again, that's how it goes. They see my pond, they want a pond. But it was a 1-acre pond. And I had so many turtles that would come and go. I'm like, why would you ever leave? This is like an oasis. I feed you and you're hanging out. Nope, they're natural. They want to spread their DNA. So it's fun because I kind of get. I might have a turtle that's there for 2 years. He'll be gone for a year, And then he'll come back on the 4th year. I'm like, oh my gosh, no idea where he went. It's not like there's ponds in every neighborhood, in my where I live, but they wander around and they can eventually come back. So if you want to keep turtles, like as a pet, you need to have a fenced-in yard because they like to wander.
I'm one step ahead then, because we have just the box turtles in our yard that
come like around. Eastern box turtles?
They come in and out, but I've never kept one, like went to somewhere and bought it, brought it home, and I didn't want, in my head, I was going to wonder.
He might stay for a season, but he will eventually leave, and so you want to have a fenced-in yard.
Okay, good. So I'm one step ahead.
So Greg's turtles just left on vacation for a little while, and they decided they were coming back.
Yeah, hey, our home is better than our vacation spot, I would think.
They were like, hold
Nobody's feeding us here.
Yeah. Well, Jesse, do you have any other questions that you wanted to talk about?
Oh, it looks like the show is going to be wrapping up here shortly. I believe, what does it close tonight? 6?
No, 5 o'clock. So we're less than a half an hour away from the finish of Aquashella. I want to thank George for putting this on.
Yes, huge thank you.
Rob wants up here?
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Awesome.
And now we are going to bring on
Robert Lupton,
the man of the hour.
Yes. Special.
I'll go to Jesse's. I just want to thank everybody for being here, especially these guys for being a part of it. Kerrie and Jesse are always a huge help at the show. They do a ton for the show. Jesse is a powerhouse, gets a lot done. And I got to give a huge shout out to this man over here, Greg. He put on a crazy VIP party for all of us creators. And his Aqualand is just absolutely beautiful.
Yes.
He's got just amazing stuff. I've never been to a place where you can go sit in a hot tub and then go play soccer afterwards and volleyball and so much stuff. And this man was super gracious to us. So, Greg, thank you so much.
My pleasure. I love giving back, and I love having a good time. And when I built Aqualand, I wanted it to be for things like this. I didn't know at the time. I just wanted it to be used and to be able to spread the love of what we do. So it's fun for me to be able to entertain a lot of influencers there and anybody there.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll let you guys close it down, but I definitely want to jump on here. And Aquashella was a huge hit, and we'll see you guys in Dallas. But
can't wait.
These guys are going to close it down.
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and thank you so much for chatting with us. And I hope to see everybody in Dallas in just a few months. And thank you again for tuning in, and we will see you soon.
I love my job.
Thank you very much, Greg.